Welcome back to All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. My name is Ty Patton. In this video, I'm going to share my research and strategy for the Thursday Night Football Showdown contest between the Arizona Cardinals and San Francisco 49ers. Before I dive into this game, I wanted to talk briefly about the Monday night game between the Dolphins and the Steelers. And in that showdown video, I had stated that I was going to use Ryan Fitzpatrick in the captain spot. And I gave you all the reasons why I wanted to be different from the field. I knew Connor was going to be real chalky. Didn't really look like there was much way around having him in the captain spot because he should have smashed. And truthfully, after the first quarter, I felt pretty good about having Fitzpatrick in the captain spot. It looked like Miami had come to play, and they did come to play for one quarter. But and Juju Smith-Schuster, who was the actual winning lineup, he was the captain in the winning lineup. He was getting shut down by Xavier Howard until he went out with an injury. And all I can say about that is such is fantasy football. But the good news is I'm back to give you another showdown video and give you my opinion. Before I give you my much anticipated breakdown of this game between the 49ers and Cardinals, I want to share my updated showdown numbers up to and including the Monday night game between the Dolphins and Steelers. The average winning showdown score is 134.84. The average captain score is 44.68. The captain in the winning lineup can be further broken down as follows. Underdog running backs have been in the captain spot more than any other position. They've been in the winning captain spot 11 times for 21%. Next is the favorite quarterback. They've been in the captain spot in the winning lineup 10 times for 19%. The favorite wide receiver has been the captain in the winning lineup 8 times for 15%. The favorite running back has been the captain 7 times for 13%. Underdog wide receiver 6 times for 12%. The favorite defensive special team has been in the winning captain spot 4 times for 8%. The underdog quarterback has been the captain on the winning lineup 3 times for 6%. The underdog kicker has been in the winning lineup 2 times for 4%. And the underdog tight end has been the captain in the winning lineup 1 time for 2%. I broke this down even further by combining the positions. Running backs have been the captains in the captain's spot on the winning lineup 18 times for 35%. Wide receivers have combined to be in the winning captain spot for 14 times, which is 27%. And quarterbacks have combined to be in the winning lineup 13 times for 25%. The winning captain has been on the winning team straight up 37 of the 52 showdown contests. Running backs are 15-3 straight up. Wide receivers are 11-3 straight up. Quarterbacks are 7-6 straight up. And the favorite defense special teams are 4-0 straight up. So what does all this mean for the Thursday night showdown between the Cardinals and the 49ers? Absolutely nothing. No, just kidding. It means this is why I focus on the captain spot so much in these videos. You really need to focus on getting the captain spot right and build your lineups around it. Use a game script and go with it. If you don't get the captain spot right, it doesn't matter if you're in a large GPP, head-to-head, double up, whatever contest. If you don't get that right, you're probably definitely not going to win, and it's going to be hard to cash depending on what contest you're in. So that's why I spend so much time on getting the captains right. Now, this week with the San Francisco-Arizona game, it does look like a mismatch on paper. And to talk about San Francisco a little bit, in Week 8, San Francisco ran 60 offensive snaps. Coleman, the running back, was on the field for 32 of those snaps, which is 53%. Breida was on the field for 19 of those snaps for 32.6%. But Breida is injured, and he's got a questionable tag, and I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be ruled out, or at the very least limited. I didn't see. I wanted to check that again earlier. He limited 2 practices this week due to the tender ankle, but that might be enough for him to earn active status once Thursday arrives. So you have to keep an eye on that. One thing that I'm pretty sure of is Coleman is going to be very popular in that captain spot this week after the game that he just had. I'm concerned about him being in the captain spot, not because I don't feel like he'll get the volume. I don't know if he'll be as efficient. I mean, in the last game, he had 11 carries for 105 yards. That's almost 10 yards a carry. 2 receptions for 13 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to keep up have that type of performance. I do think he'll touch the ball a lot and probably a lot more if Breida's out. I also wanted to mention that Jeff Wilson was on the field for 3 snaps, and Mostert was on the field for 14 snaps. So they really, for a total of 17 snaps. So those two combined really weren't that much of an influence on Coleman's contribution to the game. But I know Coleman, he's the 4th highest on the slate. And for the captain spot, he's only 13,500 compared to Garoppolo 15,600, which frees up $2,100, which makes a difference when you're building a lineup. And I'm pretty sure Coleman's going to be 75% to 80% in the captain spot. Let's see, the Cardinals are ranked 16th against the running back. But I don't feel like the way to beat the Cardinals is on the ground. I believe the way to do it is through the air, and we'll get to that. With San Francisco being a 9.5-point road favorite, they have a team implied total of 26 points. I'm leaning towards the 49ers having to put the ball in the air to put some points on the board. Arizona gives up a league worst 26.9 fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. I believe Patrick Peterson will be locked up on Emmanuel Sanders, which will funnel passes to Kittle. Arizona is ranked dead last against the tight end position. They're number 32, and they're giving up, I believe, I had that here. They were giving up 22.7 points per game to the tight end position. I believe with Peterson on Sanders that Garoppolo is going to probably throw the ball more in this game and utilize, because I think Arizona will come in and be a little bit stingy with Coleman, and I don't think Coleman will have the efficiency that he had in the game against Carolina. And with them funneling the passes to Kittle, you could see a situation where Garoppolo could be the captain. I think he'll be contrarian because he's the most expensive. People are going to want to spend down on Coleman and free up that money and get away. And recency bias will definitely cause people to go to Coleman. The game he had, I mean, he was the leading running back last week, or one of the top 2. He scored 40 fantasy points, and I believe he'll be the most popular in that captain spot. I'm going to have a different take on it. I try to do that with every slate, put my captain in there, and then build around it. Now, some things about Arizona. In their last game against New Orleans, they only had 46 offensive plays, and their average up to that game had been 68 plays per game. So they were way under their average of offensive plays. San Francisco is number 2 versus the run, and they're only giving up 8.2 fantasy points per game to the quarterback. So San Francisco's defense is super, super stingy. I don't see Arizona getting anything done on the ground. They've just brought in Kenyon Drake from Miami. They signed him on Monday. David Johnson has a questionable tag. He is definitely not dependable. A couple of weeks ago, a lot of people were upset because they had him as active, and then he ran the ball one time or was on the field for one play, and then left the game and didn't play the rest of the game. Yeah, week 7, 1 try for 2 yards, and that was it. And so his questionable tag. He practiced today for the first time since October 18th, a span in which he managed 3 offensive snaps before sitting out week 8. With a limited session under his belt, he appears to have tested out his ankle injury, but his availability. I wouldn't trust that, and I don't think Arizona's going to be able to do anything on the ground against them anyway. So I have very little interest in Arizona's running game against San Francisco, and they're really stingy against the quarterback too. Um, they've only given up 20 points once this year, and I believe that was, and they're only giving up, and that was at home, and they're only giving up an average of 10 points a game on the road. I'm leaning towards a 49er onslaught, but instead of having Coleman in the captain spot, I'm going to go with Garoppolo in the captain position. This will allow me to gain leverage on the more popular Coleman, and I'm basing that because I believe there's going to be a lot of recency bias, as I mentioned. I also feel like with Patrick Peterson being on Sanders, this could be a really big game for Kittle. Kittle could probably find himself in the captain spot a lot tomorrow as well. He's 13, in the captain spot. He's 13,800. So he's almost 2,000 less than Garoppolo. So he could be popular. But what I would say, and not that it can happen, but up through those 52 slates, a tight end from the winning team hasn't been in the winning captain spot at all. So I think Garoppolo with a couple of his targets makes a lot more sense than just popping Kittle up there in your captain spot. I haven't talked much, like I said, I haven't said much about Kittle, but I do look for him to have a really good game. As I mentioned, Arizona's number 32 against the tight end, and they do allow 22.7 fantasy points per game, a league worst to the tight end position. With that being said, this is the lineup that I'm working on, and I'll break it down and tell you my reasons why. I want Garoppolo in the quarterback or in the captain spot. Flex, I'm going to have Coleman. Flex, I'm going to have Fitzgerald. We're going to have Robbie Gould. I'm going to have Kittle. And I'm going to have another target for Garoppolo. So here, this lineup here, I only left 200 on the table. I have Garoppolo, the quarterback, in the captain spot with two of his targets, Kittle and Samuel. I brought it back with the one player from Arizona, Fitzgerald. I can see him getting targeted a lot in this game. I think Arizona will be down. They're not going to be able to run the ball. And Murray likes to go to Fitzgerald. And Fitzgerald gets targeted a lot when they're inside the red zone. He'll be on the field. And with the thought of Murray not being able to do much, being under a lot of pressure and turnovers and all, I don't think I need Murray's 8 or 9 points in this game. And with Garoppolo being the most expensive, I believe that's going to be contrarian. He hasn't scored a lot of fantasy points per game. He's only scoring 13.9 fantasy points per game. But I just see this as a way for San Francisco to put some points on the board. And like I said, Sanders is going to be locked up with Peterson. That's going to free up Kittle, and Samuel is the third wide receiver in that game. Bringing it back with kicker, as I've said in my other showdown videos that I've done, out of the two kickers and two defenses, I like to use just one of those, either one kicker or one defense. And the 49ers defense is really expensive at 7,400. Now they are averaging 14.6 fantasy points per game, but to pay off that 7,400, you pretty much have to get a defense special teams touchdown. And I just don't like banking on that. I could possibly take Samuel out and Gold out. I experimented with this and put the 49ers defense in there and then drop down and take another one of the Arizona targets. But I mean, Arizona does have an implied total of 17 points, so they're going to score somewhere. I don't think this will be a shutout for San Francisco. I don't think it's going to be easy at all for Murray in this game. And I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure. They're going to force him to the air. And but he might get some points running. He could possibly run one in. He definitely brings the running game to his repertoire. So this was the only other way when I was messing around with the lineups that I could actually get the 49ers defense in there. 49ers defense is going to be real popular. And if in a lot of the showdown contests lately, the defenses have been appearing in the winning lineups. The Patriots have actually had the defense in the winning lineup 3 of the showdown contests that they've been in. 4 of them. They're the ones that are 4-0. They've had the winning defense 4 times, and Brady was in the other 3. But back to this game, I like this build. As I said, I feel that Coleman and Kittle are probably going to be the popular choices up in that captain spot. I'm putting the most expensive up there just to be contrarian. Now, another thing that I do, if you follow my videos, you already know this. I always like to take the players that I'm interested in, whether I'm building a showdown contest or lineups for the main slate. I take all the players that I'm interested in, and I have an optimizer that allows me to set minimum and maximum exposures. On showdown, I do that, and I pick usually 4 or 5 captains. In this game in particular, I picked Garoppolo, Murray, Kittle, Coleman, and I think I even put the 49ers defense in there, and Larry Fitzgerald. And with my highest exposure to Garoppolo, and I put a couple rules in there, like if a quarterback's in the captain spot, he has to have 2 targets in the flex spot, because it just makes sense. If a quarterback's going to go off and you got him in the captain spot, it's going to be because he's thrown it to somebody, so you got to have a couple of his targets. And that's how I just do my showdown and how I prefer it. And I set it up for there to only be one of the 4, either one of the 2 field goal kickers or 2 defenses, only one of the 4 in any one lineup. And then I just set the optimizer to 150 lineups and let it go with the minimum maximum exposures that I set, and with the couple rules I had. Optimizer was only able to run 117 out of the 150 requested. And I do it so I can just see the different randomizations with the players that I like. I don't MME. If I could, I would. And the guys that are able to do it, kudos to them. It's a smart way to play. But I just pick and choose the ones that I like with my current situation. I do a lot of manual building, but I do like to see the different randomizations. So I did that with these players, and this is the very first lineup that the optimizer spit out. It had Kittle in the captain, Pettis, one of the flex, Robbie Gould, Coleman, Kyle Murray, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Spent all 50,000. It's a really interesting lineup, and you can see a situation where Kittle smashes. He really hasn't had that smash game this year. He had a couple last year, but it makes sense when I said the way Arizona's defense with Patrick Peterson back, they pretty much eliminate your number 1 receiver, funnel passes to the tight end position. Hence the reason that they're number 32 against the tight end. So you have Kittle in a smash spot with Garoppolo, and you also have exposure to the running game with Coleman. Bring it back with Kyle Murray. You don't have any targets for Murray. This is a San Francisco onslaught, but makes sense. Pettis is the number 3 wide receiver. No, number 4 wide receiver for San Francisco. Me personally, I probably would, if I was going to go that way, I would probably take Pettis out and bring it back with maybe one of the targets for Murray. Bird last week actually received more snaps than any of the other receivers, and he's 1,600. So he could be a real sneaky play. And with this, you're leaving 1,600 on the table. In Showdown, I like to leave some money on the table. At just 50,000 pretty much sounds like there's only a few ways you can build when you're using all the money, and it allows you to be different. This way, I have Garoppolo teamed up with Kittle and Coleman, and Robbie Gould, so covering a lot of the scoring, and Kyle Murray. If San Francisco's able to lock down Kirk and Fitzgerald, maybe Bird getting them some sneaky action, and at 1,600, it doesn't take much for him to pay off. In his fantasy points per game at 5.8 fantasy points per game, $1,600 salary, that 5.8 pays that off almost 3 times. So that's what the optimizer did. So my hopefully this information gives you a little bit of is valuable, gives you a little bit of information to go on and build your own lineups. I would suggest, always, go with a game script, how you think the game's going to go. If you can build a couple lineups, make sense of them, get your captain in there, and build a lineup around that captain to where it makes sense. If you're using quarterbacks, obviously you want to have targets, and just make sense of how the game's going to go. So this is my take on the Thursday night football showdown between the Cardinals and the 49ers. Again, I hope you were able to get some, or I hope you are able to implement and find this information useful. I want to thank you for joining me, and a special thanks to my subscribers as the numbers are trending upwards. I really appreciate your support. I encourage all of you to post any comments or opinions below. Please share this video, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when my next video posts. I will be posting the quarterback research strategy video for week 9 shortly, and I'll be back tomorrow with the running backs and wide receiver videos. Again, my name is Ty Patton. This is all about winning daily fantasy sports. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you real soon.